Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over a upcoming interesting pattern. We're going to be dealing with chilly air for this upcoming week, and then the next week is going to be when we're actually going to get into some warmer air, especially in parts of the northern and western United States. It looks like it might still stay a little bit chilly if you live in parts of the southeast. So let's get right into it here, and let's start off with your current National Weather Service page. As you can see, we have a couple of red flag warnings in effect for northern California, as well as some frost advisories in southeastern Idaho. We have winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories up for northern, actually more central Colorado and southeastern Wyoming. And then we also have a few freeze warnings in effect in parts of western Michigan. Flood watches are also in effect for parts of the southeastern and south central United States. And we have a couple of freeze watches in effect in that light blue color for parts of Maryland, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania as well. So yesterday we had a high temperature in Rio Grande Village, Texas, where they got up to 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The low temperature was in Atlantic City, Wyoming, and also in Stanley, Idaho. Both of those areas got down to 13 degrees Fahrenheit. The highest precipitation report was in McCune, Texas, where they got up to 5.83 inches of reported rainfall yesterday. And there were three tied snowfall reports. One in Bear Lake, Colorado, they got 10 inches. So did 3 miles north-northeast of Mount Audubon, Colorado, where they got 10 inches, and 4 miles west-southwest of Trail Ridge, Colorado, they also got 10 inches of reported snowfall yesterday. And as of early this morning, we actually have a couple reports over 12 inches of snowfall in parts of Wyoming and Colorado. So here's what the European ensemble model is showing, and this is your temperature anomaly map. So basically this is showing you how far above or below normal the temperatures are. If you're in this blue or green or even purple color, that's where you're below normal. If you're in that orange color, or even some of the red that you see popping up, that's where you're going to get above normal temperatures or warmer than normal temperatures. And this is the European ensemble model, so it's taking an average of about 51 models and blending them all together to get an accurate assessment of what the weather pattern should be. You're going to start to see that this big cold air mass, which is currently, by tomorrow, expected to be sitting pretty much from the Rockies eastward, except for in parts of the southeast and the western United States might stay a little bit warm in those areas, but the rest of the country is solidly below average and solidly chilly. And by the way, if you do have a garden or a farm, I will be talking about the frost and freeze concerns later on in the video. It's going to be in the middle section of this video where I'm going to go over 2 days that I think could have some effects in terms of frost and freezes. So this is going to be by Thursday of this week. You can see this warm air expanding over the western United States, but if you live in the eastern half or the eastern two-thirds of the United States, still quite chilly in these areas. What you're going to start to see is that some of this warm air starts to spread from the west and also from parts of the north as well, and it's just going to continue to encroach further to the south and east, and eventually it will overtake pretty much the entire country. So it is looking like probably by the middle of next week, the vast majority of the country will be above normal. We're going to have to go through one chilly week, and then we can go back straight into those nice springtime temperatures. So here would be by Friday of this week, and you can see that the warm air is expanding in the western United States, also making some gains in parts of the northern United States, but for much of the eastern United States, still well below what is typical and what is normal for this time of year. Here to be by Sunday, and you can see that we have still some below normal temperatures in parts of the eastern United States, in parts of the central and western part of the country. That's where we're dealing with actually above normal temperatures, which again are going to continue to expand and encroach upon that area of colder than normal temperatures. And here to be by Monday of next week, and you can see that we have just this tiny area of below normal, which in another day or two, probably by Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, would be overtaken by some of those warmer temperatures. And then you can see that above normal area, which spans much of the country except for parts of the southeast and the mid-Atlantic. So again, it does look like it's going to warm up, but we will have to wait maybe another 4, 5, 6 days for that to actually happen. Here's a look at the temperatures, and we're going to start off with the low temperatures for both Wednesday and Thursday, because these are the 2 days this week that I think we have the chance of widespread frost and freezes over parts of the eastern United States, which I know will be a concern for those of you you who do own farms or do have a garden outside. It will be a concern, and you want to make sure that you either have some heaters out there for those crops and plants, or that you put some tarps over them so that you don't get any that they don't freeze away, or that they don't, or so they don't get damaged from all this cold weather. So you can see that in that light blue color, that almost white color, that's where you're around 35 degrees. So anything below about 36 or 37 degrees can get frost. So anywhere within that range can get frost. And if you're below 32 or you're around 32, you can have actually a freeze on some of your plants. So especially in parts of Wisconsin and western Michigan, that looks to be the main concern for tomorrow morning, where we could be dealing with some frost and freeze concerns. Also in parts of eastern West Virginia and central Pennsylvania, and then the rest of the Ohio Valley and the Northeast, especially the interior Northeast, has that threat of mostly just frost, but not necessarily a hard freeze. And if we look at Thursday, it's less so. You really won't have to take as many precautions on Thursday morning. It looks like we're going to have temperatures that are going to be right around 35 degrees for pretty much this entire area. So less of a freeze concern and more of a frost concern in a lot of these areas. So those are the 2 days I think for those of you who are farmers or gardeners you really want to be paying attention for, because that's the 2 days that out of this week that I think have the highest chance of frost or freezes. But the rest of the week does look good for a majority of the country in terms of the temperatures should be high enough that you don't have any frost or freeze concerns. Here would be the high temperatures for both of those days as well. You can see we have high temperatures that actually aren't that high in parts of the eastern United States. We're dealing with temperatures maybe getting up around 60, up to 65 in some of these areas, but really not the springtime temperatures that we are used to in much of the country. And then in the western United States, that's where it's heating up. We're dealing with even in the interior western United States, we still have temperatures in the mid 70s, and then even a few 90s or 100 plus degree temperatures along the west coast and into the southwest. So really warm in the west, fairly chilly in the eastern United States. Here's by Thursday, warms up a little bit for much of the country, but still, if you live in the eastern half of the country, we're still dealing with temperatures barely getting up around 65 if you're lucky, and a lot of areas just struggling to get above 60. So not going to be too pleasant for the first couple of days of this week. It looks like as we head to the weekend, it does warm up a little bit along the east coast, down through the southern United States, and then back up through the central plains. We're dealing with temperatures in the 70s and the 80s. If we go through Saturday, still dealing with these rather warm temperatures over much of the country, especially the western United States. Now on this map, it does look like these are fairly warm, and they are manageable. Their temperatures in the mid 60s and even into the 70s, which is good enough. But even though they are fairly warm, we are still used to a little bit above what we're seeing right now. So we are used to typically seeing a lot of areas getting temperatures up into the mid 70s, the upper 70s, and we're just not seeing that this time of year because of this chilly air mass. But again, it looks like next week is when we're actually going to go back to more of that regular weather pattern where we have more of those warmer temperatures. Here would be by Sunday, and it is starting to warm up into the central and northern United States. So you can see how that warm air is really spreading, and we're dealing with actually 70s and even some 80s further to the south. Widespread is 60s and low 70s for much of the rest of the country, even in the area in the eastern United States that will be colder than normal. And if you look at Monday of next week, you can see that it is warming up over a majority of the country, and actually in the southeast, I think it might actually be a little bit more comfortable with those chillier temperatures, because this time of year we are actually seeing a few averages up near 85 or even close to 90 in some of these areas. So being a few degrees below normal in those areas really isn't too much to complain about, and I think it is actually a lot nicer than being at what your average is for those areas. If we look at the Climate Prediction Center outlook, you can see that we are expecting over the next 6 to 10 days from the 16th through the 20th, so this would take us through next week. We're dealing with temperatures that are expected to be above normal over much of the central and northern part of the country, and then in the southeast and along the immediate west coast, that's where we're dealing with potentially below normal temperatures from the 16th through the 20th, according to the Climate Prediction Center. If you look at the 8 to 14 day outlook from the 18th through the 24th, you can see that a much wider area of the country is expected to be above normal pretty much everywhere except for the southeast, and also along again the immediate west coast, where where we are dealing with maybe near normal or slightly below normal temperatures that are forecasted, and the most above normal is expected to be up through the Central Plains, the Great Lakes, and also into the Ohio Valley and the interior Northeast. So looks like the areas that were hit the hardest with the cold temperatures will also be getting a nice warm up by next week. And if we look at what the 3 to 4 week outlook looks like from the 22nd through June 4th, you can see that we're actually still expecting above normal temperatures for pretty much the entire country, with the exception of a little cutout in the southeast and also in parts of Montana and the Dakotas. But other than that, no area is expecting to be below normal through the 3 to 4 week outlook, and we're actually expecting a vast majority of the country to be stuck under above normal temperatures. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.